Welcome back to the Heidelberg Catechism. Christ has died, risen, and now the Creed lifts our eyes higher still. He ascended into heaven. But the ascension can feel like a loss. If he went up and away, does that mean he left us behind? This 18th Lord's Day answers that fear with some of the richest comfort in all the Catechism. Far from leaving us, our ascended Lord is at this moment working for us, keeping our place and drawing us upward. His going up is for our good. Let us learn the 46th question. How dost thou understand the words, "He ascended into heaven"? That Christ, in the sight of his disciples, was taken up from the earth into heaven, and continues there in our behalf until he shall come again to judge the living and the dead. First, notice that the ascension was a real visible event. The disciples watched it happen. As Luke records, as they were looking on, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. This was not a symbol or a feeling. It was history. And second, notice what he is doing up there. He continues in heaven on our behalf. He did not retire. He is there for us, as our great high priest, and he will remain there until the day he returns to judge. So the ascension is not Jesus stepping off the stage. It is Jesus taking his throne and taking it for us. Zacharias Ursinus, the principal author of the Heidelberg Catechism, will not let us thin this out into a symbol. He writes, in part, that the ascension of Christ into heaven is a visible, local and real translation of his body and soul from earth into that heaven. Translation there means a real transfer from one place to another, and local means just that, from earth to heaven, not merely a change in how we think of him. A real man, in a real body, really went up. But if he was really taken up, and his human nature is really in heaven, an honest question follows. Has he left us? The Catechism faces that fear next. Let us learn the 47th question. Is Christ then not with us, even unto the end of the world, as he has promised? Christ is true man and true God. According to his human nature, he is now not on earth, but according to his Godhead, majesty, grace and spirit, he is at no time absent from us. That answer is a real comfort, and it also raises a fair objection. If his human nature is in heaven and not here, have his two natures been pulled apart? The Catechism faces that next. Let us learn the 48th question. Since his human nature is not present wherever his Godhead is, are not then these two natures in Christ separated from one another? Not at all. For since the Godhead is incomprehensible and everywhere present, it must follow that the same is not limited with the human nature he assumed and yet remains personally united to it. These two questions handle a real puzzle with great care. If Jesus has a true human body and that body is now in heaven, then how can he also promise to be with us always? The Catechism answers by holding both of his natures together. When the Catechism says the Godhead is incomprehensible, it does not mean merely that God is mysterious to us. It means his divine nature cannot be contained or measured. It is beyond all bounds and present everywhere. That is why it follows that his Godhead is not limited to the human nature he assumed, and yet remains personally united to it. His divine nature is not confined inside his human body, and his human body is not stretched out to fill every place. As a true man, with a real body, he is now in heaven and not walking the earth. But as true God, his divine nature is beyond measure and fills all things. As the Lord asks through Jeremiah, "Do I not fill heaven and earth?" So in his Godhead, his majesty, his grace and his spirit, he is never absent from us, not for a single moment. And these two natures are not torn apart. They remain forever united in the one person of the Son. Think of it this way. His human body is not stretched across the universe, and his Godhead is not bottled up inside his human body. He is one person, the Son. As man, he is now in heaven for you. As God, he is never absent from you. His humanity stays truly human in heaven, which is exactly why our flesh being there is such a comfort. So when he says, "Behold, I am with you always, to the end of the age," he means it. This is not a lesser presence. By his Spirit and grace, the ascended Christ is nearer and more faithful to you than any bodily companion could be. He has not left you as orphans. The same Jesus who is enthroned in heaven is truly present with you now. Let us learn the 49th question. What benefit do we receive from Christ's ascension into heaven? First, that he is our advocate in the presence of his Father in heaven. Secondly, that we have our flesh in heaven as a sure pledge, that he as the head will also take us, his members, up to himself. Thirdly, that he sends us his Spirit as an earnest, by whose power we seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth at the right hand of God, and not things on earth. 3 gifts flow down from the ascended Christ. First, he is our advocate. In the very presence of the Father, he speaks for us. As John writes, if anyone does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. When Satan accuses you, your defender is already appearing before the Father on your behalf, and he pleads not to win a doubtful case, but on the ground of a sacrifice already finished. John writes this so that when you do sin, and you will, you do not despair, but look to the one who pleads for you by name, and because he remains a true man in heaven, in the same human body in which he suffered, he is not disconnected from your physical pain or sorrow. He sympathizes with your weaknesses. Second, we have our flesh in heaven as a sure pledge. Because our head is there in a true human body, we, his members, have a guarantee that he will bring us up too. When the Catechism says we have our flesh in heaven, it does not mean a part of you is already there. It means that the human nature he took from us and never laid aside is now glorified at the Father's right hand, and that is the pledge that our bodies will follow. Because you are united to him as your head, his glorified human nature is the guarantee that your own body will be raised and glorified too. As he promised, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself. Heaven is not a maybe. The human nature taken from us is already there in Christ our head. Third, he sends his Spirit as an earnest, a down payment on the whole inheritance. And by that Spirit's power, we lift our desires upward, seeking the things that are above. Seeking the things above is not fleeing your responsibilities, but doing them for the Lord who reigns over them. The Spirit does not pull you out of ordinary life. He loosens the grip of fear, greed, and distraction, so that work, family, and sorrow are lived under a Lord who already reigns above. The ascension, then, gives us a friend at court, a reserved place, and a power at work in us now. So let this lift your heart. First, you have an advocate pleading for you in heaven this very moment. Let that change the way you confess sin, not hiding from God, but running to your defender. Second, the human nature he took from us is already in heaven in Christ your head. When heaven feels far off, does it change things to know your place is already secured by your head, who is there for you? And third, by his Spirit you are meant to seek the things above. This does not mean despising creation or neglecting your earthly callings. It means living in them under Christ. What earthly concern or desire is becoming ultimate, and what would it look like to lift your eyes today? He ascended, and he took your future with him. The scriptures behind today's lesson are drawn from the Gospels of Matthew and John, the book of Acts, the letter to the Romans, the letter to the Ephesians, the letter to the Hebrews, the letter to the Colossians, the prophet Jeremiah, and the first letter of John, all taken from the English Standard Version. The words of the Catechism come from the 18th Lord's Day, in a traditional public domain English translation. We also heard from Zacharias Ursinus in his commentary. You will find them gathered here on the screen. Thank you for lifting your eyes to your ascended Lord with us today. He is there for you.